Are you using your cell phone to make phone calls or send SMS messages? Well, of course you are. This is 2024. It's the modern world. Of course we're making phone calls and we're sending SMS messages all the time. We're receiving them as well. We're even using our cell phones to get on social media, access all sorts of things, even getting into our bank account information using our banking apps. What if I told you that whether you like it or not, if you're using a cellular network, and especially if you're roaming, you are using an insecure network? In this video, we're going to talk about SS7, Signaling System 7, how it started, and the implications to your data security. Let's get started. Now, I saw this article in The Economist, and this is dated on May 17th, 2024. The title, "It is dangerously easy to hack the world's phones." Of course, being in security, I had to take a look. And they're basically saying the system at the heart of global telecommunications is woefully insecure. If you are in tech and you understand SS7, this might be a simplistic video for you, but we need to demystify this for everyone who's carrying around a cell phone, thinking that their messaging is secure. It is not. Let's take a look at what's going on. Now, for years, security experts have warned that a technology at the heart of the global communications is dangerously insecure, and there is proof it's being used to snoop on Americans. So Kevin Briggs, an official at America's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, told the FCC that there were numerous incidents of successful unauthorized attempts not only to steal location data and monitor voice and text messages, but also to deliver spyware and influence American voters from abroad via text messages. And this article was first published in 404 Media. I've got that link down below. It is behind a paywall, and I only have access to the Economist paywall at the moment. So basically, this is identifying Signaling System 7, which was developed in 1975. And Signaling System 7 basically allowed telecom firms to exchange data. So you have a mobile device from AT&T, let's say. I have one from T-Mobile, let's say. And then, of course, there is Verizon and all of these other cellular providers and landline providers around the world. In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan was president, and AT&T was the telephone provider. There were no cell phones. He broke up AT&T, and so you had all of these regional bells, or they called them. So you had like Southwestern bells, Pacific Bell, you had Ameritech in the upper Midwest. And so you had all of these smaller bells, but they all had to communicate with each other. So SS7 was used, and this was before encryption. This was before authentication. And then a new protocol came along when the mobile age came, and this was called Diameter. Diameter is used by AT&T, but SS7 is still used if you were at home and you have a landline and you were making a call to a mobile provider, to a mobile cell phone, to someone who's in Italy, but they are not in Italy at the moment. They're actually traveling across a different country. Maybe they're traveling in Canada. Well, SS7 is the network that keeps track of all of that and says, okay, we've got the country code of Italy right here, but they're actually in Canada using Canadian telecom, and so we need to route all of this, and we need to handle the billing for all of this. So that's what SS7 does. Now, this network has been in use since the 1970s. It has never really been upgraded. There is no encryption whatsoever. There is no authentication. And all of these various cellular providers have access to SS7. As such, it is incredibly vulnerable. Now, in this article, we have some evidence here from 2008. Tobias Engel was a security researcher who showed that SS7 could be used to identify a user's location. In 2014, German researchers went further, demonstrating it could also be exploited to listen to calls or record and store voice and text data. Now, attackers could forward data to themselves if they were close to the phone, hoover it up and tell the system to give them a decryption key. Spy agencies have known about this issue for a lot longer, and tons of malicious actors are using this, as well as state-sponsored actors who are trying to spy on individuals. So in 2014, Russian hackers exploited SS7 to locate and spy on Ukrainian political figures. In 2017, a German telecom firm acknowledged that attackers had stolen money from customers by intercepting SMS authentication codes that were being sent from banks. In 2018, an Israeli private intelligence company used a mobile operator in the Channel Islands, a British territory, to get access to SS7 and thus users around the world. Now here's where it gets interesting. So Chinese hackers have stolen huge amounts of data from the Office of Personnel Management. This is the government agency in the United States that manages federal civil service. The most sensitive data were security clearance records, which also contain highly personal details about government employees. Phone numbers were also stolen. Now, according to semi-redacted slides published by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, American officials noticed SS7 anomalous traffic. That means stuff was happening on SS7 that they believed was related to this breach. Now, interestingly, in this same article, they note that Apple notified a number of users in 92 different countries that they had been targeted by a mercenary spyware attack. And on May 1st of this year, Amnesty International published a report showing how a murky ecosystem of surveillance suppliers, brokers, and resellers from Israel, Greece, Singapore, and Malaysia had put powerful spyware into the hands of multiple state agencies in Indonesia. And they're saying that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, why is this so scary? If hackers have access to your cell phone number and to your IMSI number, the International Mobile Subscriber Identity Number, so every SIM card that exists has an IMSI number, and it is your identifier that ties your SIM card to your cellular number. And if they have that information, the information is pretty easy for them to track where you are for things like mass surveillance. There is an article about how Google worked with a state to track individuals based on their IMSI numbers during COVID for tracking, whether or not that was ethical or illegal. I'll let you decide. But knowing where you are via SS7 is pretty easy. If they know your IMSI number and they know your cellular number, they don't even really need your cellular number. But if they know your IMSI number, they can do a ton of malicious things. And SS7 is just not secure. It is not encrypted. There is no authentication. And if you're roaming, the diameter protocol is not something that can protect you. In 2020, there was an article where researchers showed how easy it was to hack WhatsApp and Telegram using known flaws in SS7. So a lot of this information has been taken offline. I found videos on a specific website, but YouTube has taken them all down because it basically shows you how you can hack SS7 basically to get into WhatsApp. So they were able to facilitate decryption by requesting the caller's carrier to release a temporary encryption key to unlock the communication after it had been recorded. So they created a tool called Snoop Snitch that can warn when certain SS7 attacks occur and detect IMSI or IMSI catchers. So those videos are all gone, but this has been a known problem for quite a while. Now, in another article from 2017, O2 Telefonica in Germany confirmed that some customers had their bank accounts drained using a two-stage attack exploiting SS7. So thieves exploited SS7 to intercept these 2FA or two-factor codes that were sent to online banking customers, allowing those attackers to empty bank accounts. So when you hear security professionals tell you not to use SMS-based two-factor codes, these are some of the reasons why it's not just about SIM swapping attacks. It is about the general insecurity of the SS7 network that underlies all of telecom, all of your SMS messages, all of your phone calls. There's another article here from Vice, and this was dated January 31st, 2019, and they said that Metro Bank in the UK was also a victim to these kinds of SMS attacks. So down below, I've got some links that you can go investigate some of these previous attacks that basically exploited the vulnerabilities that are inherent in our cellular systems, in our phone systems. So really, you want to know, what can you do, right? What are the things that you can do in order to protect yourself? Well, if you're an individual, don't use SMS for sensitive messages. Never use SMS for those two-factor codes. I know there are tons of banks that require it. Use an authenticator app anywhere that you can, or use passkeys if those are available. Those are things that cannot be phished. Those are things that are tied to your device. So for authentication purposes, don't use SMS. If you are sending secure messages, use Signal. Don't use WhatsApp. Don't use Telegram. Signal is the only encrypted messaging system that we haven't seen any of these types of attacks with. So if you are roaming and you need to send secure messages that you don't want anyone to read, make sure that you are using Signal as the application on your cell phone in order to send those types of message. They have a desktop app as well, and you can sync those messages, which is kind of convenient. You can also make voice calls using Signal as well, so it's a great application for you to use to encrypt your communication. The other thing that I would highly recommend using, because when you are roaming and using the cellular towers, you are going through SS7. And all of those packets, all of that information, even if it's just you checking your email, that's all going through SS7. You'll want to encrypt that as well. This is where a VPN on your cell phone becomes incredibly important. I highly recommend Private Internet Access. It is the VPN that I use when I am traveling and roaming, and I need to encrypt all of my traffic no matter what, no matter where I am, no matter what cellular towers I am connecting to, and no matter how SS7 is involved. Something that you just need to start to be aware of, because these attacks have been happening. And just the fact that we are still seeing some state-sponsored espionage occurring that is affecting everything from U.S. elections to our governmental agencies, it's quite concerning. It's something that if you are in a high-profile position, it's something that could affect you as well. So I hope this conversation made sense to you. All you really need to know is that the underlying network of our cellular and telephone communications is really old, like pre-days of encryption and private keys and public keys and all of that fun stuff, and nothing's authenticated, and you just don't know who is gaining access to that network and for what purposes. So protect yourself, use a VPN, and just be aware that all of your SMS messages, all of your conversations on cellular networks are all exposed to this network. So use a VPN when you can. I highly recommend Private Internet Access. You can get that at a discount down below. We'll see you in the next video.